Go on, Gabs. Ask your question. I'm going to be here.
Yeah. So my question was, again, the couple questions I was going to ask was, what does Dawa think the spark was to start off this whole racist attitude towards African people? What does he think the spark is, and why did that happen? And also, going into the Arab slave trade, where even historians and people that study that even say and put in their notes that the Arab slave trade of Africans was even worse than the transatlantic slave trade, where you had black Africans being castrated. You know what I mean? Their genitals and everything being taken away from them, their manhood taken away. So I want to understand the mindset of the people. What was the spark that kicked this whole thing off, where they saw these African people in this way, where they wanted to mutilate them and put them in slavery? Because if we're going to deal with the scriptures, I can see what the brother Kalam is saying. We can see where this whole racist idea would have come from, because if you're saying that a people is cursed and then they need to be put in slavery, now after that message gets put out, if you start seeing these things happen in history, where people are now enslaving these black people and treating them less than animals, yeah, to the point where they can castrate them, yeah, and even till to this day, like, stuff is still going on, yeah, where blacks are being castrated, yeah. I'm trying to understand now the mindset of those people who are having these religious texts, because people like to say, oh no, it's not Islam and blah blah blah, it's just the people. But listen, the people, yeah, even the people that did get the text afterwards, it's still a majority of Muslims who was dealing with these slaves and getting involved. Even after they got this message, this great message that was from Allah, they're still dealing and getting involved in this trade. Do you know what I mean? So I want to know, what was the spark? What happened? What was this, if you know?
I mean, I'm not seeing 2 questions. I'm seeing about 6 questions, to be honest. I mean, before it gets a bit more confusing for me to answer, I'd like to take them one by one, inshallah. First of all, your first question is, what was the spark what sparked Muslims becoming racist? Look, I'll be honest with you, racism existed in Arabia, from my understanding, from my historical investigation, before the Arabs even became Muslims, before Islam had reached Arabia. Okay, the Arabs, they were racist. They were racist towards themselves for even being from a different tribe. There were people who were, this period is called Jahiliyyah, so pre-Islamic Arabia, and I'm talking about the spark, okay, particularly the spark, which is what you want me to answer. And I'll go into the other questions later, Gabs. I've got very respect for you, bro, because you're a peacemaker the way I see it, yeah? So on that basis, I will entertain your question and try and answer it to the best of my knowledge, okay? Pre-Islamic Arabia, known as the Jahiliyyah period, which means the period of ignorance, okay? The Arabs of that period were very, very tribal. And they had these, like in the Hindus, you had this casting system. They had a casting system themselves. Now, if they have a casting system amongst themselves, it's clear to understand for me as an Indian person. By the way, I'm not an Arab, okay? It's clear for me to see as a thinking person, forget being even Indian, it's clear for me to understand this as a person who's got a brain, that when a people subjugate their own people to different kind of casting systems, they're going to have no time for any other race. This you can clearly understand. Whether they be black, whether they be white, whether they be Chinese, everyone else is inferior to the Arabs, and even amongst the Arabs, they have ranks. Okay? This is a sickness that was in Arabia, which the Prophet, peace be upon him, hated. He hated. He used to go to the mountain, sit there, and observe Mecca from a distance, and he used to contemplate these ideas, thinking to himself, why do people do this? Why is there female infanticide? Why is there, this inequality in society? Why are they worshiping multiple hundreds of gods? Doesn't make sense. All of these things used to go through his mind. But one of the things was racism. This was a very acute fact. In fact, when you do mention that, these Muslims who are doing this, look, bro, I'll be honest with you, man. I've witnessed racism myself in Arabia. It broke my heart. It broke my heart as a first-time visitor to Arabia. Well, actually, it was my second time. First time when I was a child. But as a second-time visitor to Arabia, as an adult, going off my own volition, through my own choice, yeah, to witness something like this broke my heart, bro. It broke my heart. And I had my doubts regarding Islam. So that's when I started to really start to study this stuff. And I realized that, you know what? Islam is perfect, but Muslims ain't. And a lot of the Arabs, they're still holding on to this tribal identity. Look, Al Saud, for example, yeah? 1924, they came to power. 1933, they named the nation the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Do you know how much hubris is this? How much ego is in this statement alone? The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. No nation in the world is named after its own family, after its ruling family. No nation. You know, regarding the castration, I'm not going to dispute that. But was that a Muslim thing, or was that also happening in pre-Islamic Arabia? It was a practice that was actually happening in pre-Islamic Arabia. Not just this. In Turkey, when Turkey had the caliphate, yeah, they practiced something, I can't remember what it's called, but they practiced something where they took the Christian children from, you know, nobles, and they, you know, they from the age of 7, and you know, and this was to maintain peace between the, you know, the European Christian West and the Muslim East, because Turkey is known as the, you know, the land which meets, you know, where East and West meet up, you know, Constantinople in ancient times. Now, they took the children of Christian children, and they would basically, you know, turn them into eunuchs, castrate them as well. Okay, and these are Turks. This was a practice that predated Islam in Turkey as well, by the way. So to say that it's simply a Muslim practice is a bit of a misnomer when you realize that this practice was also prevalent in pre-Islamic Turkey. Okay, but this happened. And the sad fact is that how history records this, it records it as a very Muslim act, because it was used by Muslims, Muslim rulers, and as a pragmatic way to make sure that there was peace between two empires. Now, no Muslim historian from that time onwards, no Muslim person who's got a brain or is worth their salt and does the historical studies, yeah, will ever agree to this barbaric, totally inhumane act. Okay, but look, you know, Gabs, I've got to say, in all honesty, bro, yeah, what you're saying is true. You know, I'm not going to lie. You know, what you say has a lot of merit. But on the flip side, I also have to present to you, look, these things also happen in Africa. For example, female genital mutilation is not a Christian or a Muslim problem. It's an African problem. You know, child brides in Africa is not a Christian or a Muslim problem. It's an African problem. You know, female infanticide in Africa is not a true Christian or a Muslim problem. It's an African problem. You know, and I can't blame Africans for this either. Do you know why? I'll tell you why I don't blame Africans for either of these three things. Because when you ask, why is racism prevalent today, then I tell you the straight answer to that is the fact that the imperial pen of the West, the European imperial pen of the West, carved nations into borders, right? Carved borders into nations, split people, split brother from brother, split sister from sister, father from daughter, yeah? Split all these up because of this serious, you know, these stupid things called nations. These lines were drawn. Africa never had, back in the days, never bordered it. I mean, look, let's put it like this, right? The ancient Israelites had a solidarity with Eastern Africans, i.e. the Ethiopians. They, you know, for example, Queen of Sheba, you know, her name was Bilqis according to Muslims. She married Prophet Solomon, and, you know, she was his favorite wife. Of all the wives he probably had, according to the Jewish scriptures, yeah, she was his favorite wife, most loved wife. Yep. Not just that, the Muslims of Arabia, I mean, Prophet Sallallahu, when he was a child, he was suckled by a black woman. Because, you know, he was suckled by a black woman for 5 years. 5 years. To get your milk from a black woman for 5 years. Bro, that's going to be in you, that's going to give you a healthy, you know, make you very healthy and make you strong and able to deal with the harsh climates. You know, with regards to whether the Prophet was white or whether it was black or whether it was green or orange, bro, to me, all of that is irrelevant to me. It really is. I don't see color, man. I really don't. I mean, I can understand why it's going to be an issue for, you know, black people in this country, simply because, you know, as long as you can remember, you've been subjugated to being second-class citizens. Very sad fact. But today's the modern age. Today's when you take back your power. But if you're going to do it with, you know, your chin's held up high, without pointing fingers at anyone, but going off your own merits. And you know what? No matter what people are saying, no matter how much they, you know, don't give you a second chance. I.e., look, I have the same struggles, bro. When I go apply for a job, I've got to try twice as hard because I'm a Muslim, man. You know what I'm saying? You have the same problems as a black person because you're a black man, right? You know, we have to shine above the rest. We can't have this, you know, defunct negative mentality where we point fingers at other people and say, look at this history, this historical example, that historical example, blah, blah, blah. Because all that is past. It's past us. What we're doing now is what's going to matter to the future generations. And we've got to lay a legacy behind for them, bro. So join me in solidarity, man. Take my hand on this one and say, look, all right, let's represent. And when we go at Speaker's Corner next time, when I turn up, which won't be this Sunday, by the way, because I'm going to the Power Expo. But the following Sunday, when I turn up there, let's make a video together, Gabs. Each other and say, kill racism. You as a Kemet, me as a Muslim. Straight. Let's kill racism. And anyone who dares to defy us, we will not split up. You know, we will not walk away from each other. We'll stand there, shoulder to shoulder, showing them, you know what? You lot are long. You don't know what you're talking about. right? All you're doing, you man are evil. Whether you're black, whether you're Asian, whether you're Muslim. Sorry. Let me mute myself, bro. Let me mute myself. Join me in solidarity.
Okay.
Simba, you need to mute your mic, bro. Can I just reply to that quickly, Kalam?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead, King.
That was wow. I hear what you're saying, bro. But you was going on a long way. One thing I would say is I didn't say Muslims in general are the ones that started this whole thing, because the reason why I still wanted to get back to the spark, because you said even post Islam was dealing with this caste system. Now that to me, that's not getting to the spark. I want to know if you can tell me what was the reason for this caste system. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, what was the spark for this caste system? Why did this caste system begin? Why did this come into their mindset? Do you know what I mean? Down the history, then into the Arab slave trade, where, like you said, like I said, black Africans were being castrated by the millions. Do you know what I mean? Like Muslim and obviously after Islam had come, you had Muslim people who had African slaves who were castrated. They made sure that they were castrated, that they were the eunuchs. And the reason for them castrating them was so that they didn't breed or breed any of their daughters and stuff like that. That's the reason why they had them. Do you know what I mean? So I'm still trying to get to that issue. Like, what was the spark post Islam with the Arabs? What was the spark for them to deal with this caste system? What kicked that off? And then now let's do the domino effect down into when Islam comes about, and then the Arab slave trade, then the domino effect all the way down to now where you can see what the Arabs done, and then they take the baton from them. Thing. This is what I wanted to deal with, because obviously even now to today, like you said, in Saudi Arabia and in that area, there's still racism, big racism towards African people. There's still eunuchs there, men being castrated, and I wanted to understand why. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? That's all. I'm not blaming it on Islam. I'm not blaming it on Islam. I'm blaming it on the people in that diaspora. Do you know what I mean? And then if Islam is the book where people are saying this is peace, is peace, is peace, and I've heard people say that it's the fastest spreading religion, why is it in the place where the book got delivered, there's still millions of thousands of people, well, thousands of people that are still practicing in this slave trade and are still racist towards these black Africans? Do you know what I mean? That's all I would know.
Very keen points, guys. Very keen points.
Okay. Real quickly, please, everybody. Again, I'm looking for some likes, family. Give me those likes. Let me know that you're feeding this information, man. Let us know, okay? We're going into overdrive right about now. Speakers call link up with Talk with the Titans family, and we're getting it in. So I want to actually invite some more people in the next few minutes, okay? At least seconds or minutes. I'm definitely going to drop the link inside of the live chat. Okay, so we can mix it up and get some more voices on. My Muslim brothers, man, come on, where you at, family? Where you at? Abdul, I'm definitely gonna just watch. When that link drops, make sure you're there, Abdul. All right. I'm gonna
say as well, I haven't got much time left, so I'm gonna try and hurry this up for Gabs' question. Gabs, thank you for the question. Post-Islamic Arabia, where did it happen? Look, no matter what system is pushed in the world, yeah, i.e. what belief system, what political system, what social economic system, etc., you're going to have adherents who crave power. That is the one reason why these things happen. It's always the power hungry people. History teaches us this, so it's very evident, very easy for us to see that when people crave these sort of powers, yeah, you know, they want power over humanity. Their egos will not rest until they've got X, Y, Z. You know, they've got money, they've got wealth, they've got people admiring them, they've got people, you know, they've got people enslaved who will basically, you know, let's look at slavery in the modern age. Slavery in the modern age, bro. I mean, to say we are free men when we have to be tied into mortgages for 50, 60 years, bro, after being promised only 25, doesn't really show me that we're free. You know, the Islamic idea of being in debt is not being in debt for longer than 7 years because God wants you to have a free life. Yeah, yeah. Here we are in the modern world, taking out mortgages, right, and being debt slaves. You know, but what you're saying is very, you know, it's a very keen point. Castration is a very horrible thing for anyone to witness. I can't imagine it. Neither can you, right? Imagine being cut off from the genitals. right? So that, you know, your very essence as a man is taken from you. It's horrible, bro. But, you know, let's face it, you know, during the time of the Prophet ﷺ and the time of the Salafus Salihin, which were the companions of the Prophet, who, you know, who preceded him, right? Sorry, who survived him. And then of him, the next two generations, which, you know, the Tabi'in and Tabi'in, this did not happen. There's no case for castration. None at all. I know because I've done the research. It did happen, though, afterwards, which is when, and the Prophet ﷺ predicted this. He said the best are going to be the first three generations. Meaning, and these were his words, the Sahabi, the Tabi'in, and the Tabi'in. And he said after that, each subsequent generation is going to degrade until the end time, when a few men, right, i.e. from the youth and from the elders, you know, meaning a few, meaning in the sense of a percentage, yeah, will try to represent Islam fairly, but their voices will not be heard. Wow, bro. Wow. You know, but he did mention this, and you know, you have to really search the hadith to find these, you know. And to be honest with you, bro, you know, what I find is that today Islam has returned back to the age of Jahiliyyah. No, Muslims have returned back to the, not Islam, but Muslims have returned back to the age of Jahiliyyah. I say this to all my students, you know, when I say all my students, bro, I'm only talking about 6 people here, yeah. I'm not no real teacher, I'm not qualified or anything, but they align to me and they ask me to teach them things that I know, yeah. So that's what I'm only speaking of them, okay. Now, look, we can clearly see, right, that today in the modern world, right, Islam, the Muslims of this religion, they are actually quite ignorant about their religion. Bro, you saw what happened in Speaker's Corner this Sunday, bro, where that little group of teenage kids or wherever they're in their 20s, were making tribal noises, you know, screaming out their lungs, all this nonsense. This stuff is prevalent today, in this day and age, from people who were born in the UK, grew up in the UK, and are representing very British values, and compromise their own identity by doing things like that. They chased Joseph Cohen out of the park, and I had to get in between them and escort Joseph Cohen out, putting myself at risk and myself at danger for a Jew. You know, a lot of Muslims looking at me like, what the are you doing, right? But bottom line is, look, you know, if we don't study, if we don't research, if we don't teach ourselves what the truth is, we cannot take action like this. And the sad fact is today, Muslims are not doing the research, they're not doing the reading. So when people like Adnan come to the table with their historical analysis and their understanding, they get very frustrated in explaining these things, especially in a platform like Speaker's Corner, which is dog eat dog. Let's face it, bro. You know, it's very, very controversial, and there's a lot of history there as well between, you know, certain peoples. So they do get irate, they do get frustrated. You know, let's not forget, Adnan actually had an altercation, if you will, yeah, with Imam Ibn Mansur, Dawah man. These are 2 Muslims here, you know, and I can't stand to watch it, which is why I walked away from the whole thing at the beginning. I didn't even pull my camera out for it. I was like, you know what? You guys are all hungry for your viewers. Go record this, in it. My channel is called Dawah Digital, which means an invitation to Islam in a digital format. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm going to maintain the integrity of my channel by keeping away from this nonsense. Yeah. And I'm going to represent Islam as I know it. I'm not going to represent Muslims. Hell no. I'm not representing the Muslims. I'm representing Islam. Yeah. That's how I'm carrying on. Because I've seen some crazy stuff in the 10, 11 weeks that I've been coming to Speaker's Corner. Crazy things with my own eyes. I've heard stuff with my own ears. And you know what they say? There's an old saying. What the eyes see, they cannot unsee. And what the ears hear, they cannot unhear. So now I know stuff about people who attend there. Not just the Muslims, the non-Muslims as well. I'm not going to name anyone else. I've already named, you know, a couple of people here. But I'm not going to name anyone else, yeah? To say that, you know, I'm very embarrassed for humanity in general. We as a species are failing ourselves if we are going to hold on to these biases. We have to, you know, here's the thing. Look, I mentioned this in my last time I was in this chat, okay? There's a book that I reckon everyone should read, yeah? It's written by a guy called Cormac O'Brien. It's called The Fall of Empires from Glory to Ruin, right? And today you're going to find that the modern European imperial West and America as well is in severe decline. You know, it's gone past that peak process and is now on the downward decline. And how you can tell is, when moral fortitude is lost, i.e. when vice is pushed over virtue, that empire is on a steady decline. And no matter how much technology you throw out there, all of this stuff is defunct. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, these are all creature comforts which make us weak, i.e. you know, having water on tap so we don't walk to a well anymore. You know,
right.
Getting lazy, etc. But now I'm digressing. But to answer your question, bottom line is, it's power. People crave power, bro. And when people crave power, they're not altruists no more. They don't love for their fellow man what they should love for themselves. Yeah, you know, and this is the truth, right? So it's them losing their identity as a Muslim and while claiming to be Muslims, right, which basically shows that they are hypocrites. And let's face it, hypocrites have always existed throughout time. So this is what I say. I say it's people who crave power, who have done these really, really questionable acts in the name of Islam, but they're not Islamic acts. These are people, I mean, look at ISIS today, bro. They've killed more Muslims in the name of Islam than any other peoples, you know. But, you know, what do we get in the West? Oh, you know, and someone left here to go to join ISIS, scaremongering, fear-mongering, and then the occasional, you know, attack, which is also promulgated as a false flag. Whether it is or it isn't, not my business. But the point is there's a lot of how do you say, controversy surrounding all this.
All right, my brother.
Does it make it true?
We don't have
You decide.
All right.
Let me mute myself. Sorry, let me mute myself.
Yeah, Gabs, is there anything you would like to say before I open it up? Actually, let me just quickly do it now. So please, if you're watching right now, check the link right now. Is in the chat section. And please, man, let me hear what you're saying in the comment section as well, even after this video is finished. So there you go. So you look, enjoy it. Go ahead, Gabs, if you've got anything to say, and then I'm open up to the rest of the panel. We'll have an open discussion.
All right. Yeah, peace for that, brother. Dow Digital. So basically, what I was getting from what you were saying is the spark of this whole thing was basically power. So power is the reason why the system was brought about. Okay. Yeah. So you said power was the reason why the whole casting situation was brought about. I can try to understand that, but to me, it still doesn't make any sense, because even if you are going to have power, why would the color of someone need to come into, you know what I mean? If you're dealing with money and you want to rule something, why would the color of someone's skin need to be a factor for you trying to strive for power? But I hear your point. Still some questions unanswered, but hey, we'll see how it goes. I don't want to talk too much. I want to see if any other brothers and sisters on the panel want to say anything.
So you know what, my brother? I think we may get to this tomorrow with Adnan Rashid, and I may even just bring out the issues. I may even just take it out of the archives. You know what I mean? I got those secret sources right there. I got the sauce, baby. Just I got all of that. I can let you know how, when, and why Islam, and I will read it again, became institutionally racist. I'll definitely bring out some information on that. I'm not saying that the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was racist, okay, or his inspiration was racist. No, far be it from me to do that. Okay, we all know that the religions of these prophets usually take place years later after they're, after they've gone. You know, the religion is now established, so to speak. Okay, so we're gonna definitely speak upon that, how Islam actually became to be Islam as we know it today, and how this feeling of racism actually creeped in, and the feeling of racism, especially towards Black people, because Islam, or the Muslims and the ruling class, was definitely not racist simply towards Black people. Okay, they were also racist towards European people as well. I say racist. Is it racist when you're telling the truth? I wonder. Is it racist when telling the truth? So, you know, as my brother clearly knows with the eschatology within inside of Islam, one actually has to ask the question, when we see certain prophecies taking place today, was it racism, or was it just actually foretelling what's taking place in history? And is this eschatology of what's going to be taking place in history, did that have a negative effect on the minds of these Arabs and these people who were in the Muslim kingdom, or Muslimdom? I'm making up a new word because I'm not allowed to say in the Islamic world. Most people are going to castrate me for saying that. So, you know, in Muslimdom, did these ideas help to facilitate the idea of subjugating other people out of the fear and out of the knowledge that they will subjugate them in the future? So that's a good question. We could bring up all of these different types of things much later on. I'm so grateful for being so well informed of Islam, and actually being able to have the opportunity to share some of this information with you. My brother Sarah is in the building. Yeah, you're late, but you can still come in, King. I hope. So, anyways, I'm gonna open up to the rest of my audience members. I don't know if I'm getting tired. 12:32, I'm all right. So, if anybody would like to actually say something who hasn't already spoken, please unmute your mic and let's get it in. Okay. Who's the brave one? Who's the brave one?
Yeah, I'll just go first.
Hold on, Edo. Is anybody else after Edo that wants to speak? Simba?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go to Edo, then I'm going to go to Simba, and then anybody else, I'm going to go to my brother T Duck afterwards. All right. Keep your mics muted, and Edo, man, let's go.
Yeah. And so this is actually going back to the original discussion with what Digital Dao was saying about comparative text, because I actually asked the question in the comment section. If it's comparative text, I think you alluded to this as well, Kalam. Where's the comparison? Because he talked a lot about it, but he didn't actually present any examples.
Definitely. You know, you make a very fair point. Now, possibly just you know, state this in under a minute so we can get as many voices in as possible. So go ahead, Down Digital. Yeah.
Edo, is that question to me or?
Yeah, it's for you.
Okay. The comparative method is in getting data regarding a certain topic from various sources and reporting on it. Yeah. So that's what Tabari did. Yeah. So if you're asking where's the comparative to, say, for example, Chinese people, or where's the comparative to the European people or to the Arabs, that's not how the comparative method works. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not. The comparative method is about a certain topic which many commentators have commentated on, and the historian would take their comments and compile them all together and put them into one singular volume. Yeah, that's what a historian does in the comparative.
Okay, did you get that? Did you get that, my brother? Edo, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, that is actually skirting around the issue. I'm not talking about the method itself. What I'm saying is if you have a comparative method of where you're collecting different texts, I find it hard to believe that all the texts that were collected were all negative. That doesn't make any sense to me. I find that hard to believe.
So, you know, my brother just, okay, don't worry about it. Let's skirt around it then. So, I hear you, Edo. Let me go down to Simba now.
Yo, what's good, man?
What's good, family?
Yeah, I think Gab's made a good point, and I don't think you got a sufficient answer, because if we can all agree that racism against blacks was endemic prior to Islam, and racism is still endemic, racism against black people is still endemic in Arab society against today, then is it fair to conclude that Islam has failed to stop racism against black people? Because you was trying to say, well, you know, it's ignorance. It's, you know, people do it because they're ignorant. You know, they know Islam, they understand Islam, they practice Islam, they know the religion, but they're still racist against black people. Then he said, well, they're not true Muslims. Well, that's a no true Scotsman fallacy. You can't just say they're not true Muslims because they practice racism against blacks. So the fact is, you know, this whole thing about racism against Africans, it's a deep-seated issue, man, and it's been around for thousands of years. And you know, there's no skirting around it, and you just got to admit to it and be honest. Even today, and I don't want to go back to Al-Tabari, but there's still this idea that somehow Arabs are like the real true Muslims, and blacks are somehow, you know, second-class Muslims, or not real Muslims, or converts, that we're not authentic in the same sense that the Arabs are. So, you know, for me, I just feel like, you know, we got to get rid of these religions, man. Islam, Christianity, it's not doing nothing for African people. You need to give it all up. That's just my opinion. I'll just pass it on from there.
Hey, Kalam, who's next, bro?
Is that you, Abdul?
Yes, it is.
It's you, my brother. No.
All right.
No. Tell a lie. I apologize. It's not you. It's actually brother T. Then you.
All right, I'll wait. No problem.
Cool.
Hey, what's up with the family? What's up with the panel? What's up with the chat? It's your boy T Duck 415 coming from that Yay area, California, the States. And basically, I would just say when it comes to racism, what does it matter if they don't like us? I mean, I more so like someone to be upfront about their hatred towards me. You're not gonna stop me from moving. You're not gonna stop me from doing what I gotta do for my people. I mean, I don't. And that's like the attitude, but I understand that we got a lot of our brothers and sisters involved in Islam. But at the same time, a lot of people do wicked things in the name of Islam to where we have to be smart enough to disassociate them because they basically hiding under the umbrella of Islam. We have to be smart enough to know, like, righteousness is right and wrong is wrong. I don't care what banner you wave, your actions show that you need to be disciplined. And I see why y'all do it, but then you also have to be tolerable because brothers from Islam shouldn't have to make excuses for some of the things they deal with. As long as they being righteous, hold them to that. Let's look at the works. If they doing righteous stuff, leave them be. If they acting up, you know, don't make it an Islam thing because then the fight becomes too big. That's what we do in the States. Instead of focusing on the rednecks and the pink toes that are actually attacking us, we try to make it the whole government and make it too big to even deal with. Let's keep it small. If they attacking our people in Sudan, and I forgot the other place my brother told me, I don't care if they Muslim or whatever. If they attacking our people there, we need to get them up out of there. If they're Arabs, Chinese, whatever they may be, they gonna get this work because I don't care what they got going for themselves. We not gonna tolerate the disrespect from any race. Hate me is not disrespectful in my eyes, but you putting your hands on my people, castrating them, putting them in slavery, stealing their resources, that's disrespect and it won't be tolerated. And I don't care how much you think you the child of God. You about to feel a wrath of a real one because we don't play that. And that's the attitude we gotta have. And we have to let go of this thing. There's power in what we believe in. No, there's power in our works. Until we start doing the work, until we start having our actions match what we talk about, then we gonna always have problems. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. I just wanted to quickly do something real quickly before I get my my Muslim brother Abdul on. I actually wanted to share something because I know a lot of times we share the definition of racism prior, and I think because it was coming, I guess, from a black woman, I would suggest that may be a minority view for other people. It's not accepted. So I actually wanted to quote something here to kind of get into people's minds another perspective of racism. Okay, so Professor James M. Jones postulates 3 major types of racism: personally mediated, internalized, and institutionalized. Personally mediated racism includes the specific social attitudes inherent to racial prejudice action, bigoted differential assumptions about abilities, motives, and the intentions of others according to discrimination, the differential actions and behaviors towards others according to their race, stereotyping, commission and omission, disrespect, suspicion, evaluation, and dehumanization. Internalized racism is the acceptance by members of the racially stigmatized group. Please, can you keep your mics on mute, please? Okay. I lost my trail. All right. It says that it is okay. Internalized racism is the acceptance by members of the racially stigmatized people of negative perceptions about their own abilities and intrinsic worth, characterized by low self-esteem and low esteem of others like them. This racism can be manifested through embracing whiteness, stratification, by skin, color, and in non-white communities, self-devaluation, e.g., racial slurs, nicknames, rejections of ancestral culture, etc., and resignation, helplessness, and helplessness, dropping out of school, failing to vote, engaging in health risks, and so forth and so forth. It continues to talk about institutional racism, but I just wanted everybody just to get that, and I hope it stays here, and I hope everybody has an opportunity to actually read this one, because there is a lot of racism that's going on, that's taking place on various different levels, that most people may not be aware of. There is the racism that somebody, one person, individual, maybe group of people may hold against other groups of individuals. That's one form of racism. That's the micro racism. And there's also something called macro racism that takes place on an institutional level. It takes place in organizations, governments, and so forth, that targets, other races of people. Then there is also what affects the middle person, or the middle type of racism, which is internalized racism, is where you're getting this racist abuse personally, and you're feeling the negative effects from higher organizations on you. You start to internalize these, racist views onto your own self and to your people as well. And I think a lot of us are suffering from this internalization or internal racism inside of us, and we don't even notice it. This thing just permeates the whole system, the whole culture that we're actually residing in, and most of us don't even realize we're being affected by racism. So I'm just hoping a lot of us actually take time out to go and study more about racism, study how you yourself may be affected by racism as well. Because when I do tomorrow, I'm going to go in on Adnan Rashid as well, and actually bring up some of these things and show how other people from inside of the Islamic world were being affected, okay? Because right now I've only brought up some information of what the scholars were saying within inside of Islam, but let's actually find out what the actual people, the lower class people, the slaves, the blacks within inside of Islam, how were they treated? How were these institutions, such as the education system, the health system, the penal system, the judicial system, was affecting them? Did they treat them differently to their fairer caste, or to the Arabs, or to the paler skinned people as well? So we're definitely going to go into that, and we're going to find out some more information. Abdul, my brother.
Yes, peace. What's good?
I'm losing steam, so I definitely want you to hype me up, bring up the energy, and let's get it in, King.
Nah, I ain't, if, I only match the energy to me. Cool with me, I'm cool with them. But if they try to get feral and all that, then that's when I react, and then I go to war. It's spiritual warfare, and they can also get physical too. You know what I'm saying? And it's mental as well. So it's all love and peace, though, at the end of the day. But let me just say this real quick. I'm going to be brief. We was on here yesterday talking to Stefano and a bunch of other people. And this narrative, brother, we got to get rid of all the religions and stuff. I just think it's nonsense. You dig what I'm saying? And then when the whole thing with the Arabs and the slavery and stuff like that. Like when people do their research, you see the Arabs dealing with slavery before Islam came into the region. You know what I'm saying? That's number one. Now, number two, any so-called Arabs or whoever that still got racism in them and stuff like that is against Islam. So don't be a devil and say, oh, see, this is what Islam does. That's what human beings are doing. You understand what I'm saying? People are fallible. They can fuck up. You understand what I'm saying? They can commit crimes and do things of that nature. But when you look at Islam and you study what it teaches...
I don't say nothing to you now. Remember, there's no swearing allowed in Talk with the Titans, King. Just letting you know.
Yo, we still in the back chat.
Look, we're still live, King. We're still live.
Oh, my bad, bro. All right. I apologize to everybody. All right, so when you see people that's supposed to be Muslim or whatever, and they're committing crimes, you understand what I'm saying? That's not Islam. When you study Islam and you look at it, Islam is telling you don't do none of that. Racism is forbidden. Everybody knows about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's last speech. Everybody knows that by now. So to see so-called conscious black folks still lying against Islam and saying Islam is racist, this and that, blah, blah, I don't want to hear that nonsense. Y'all got to stop doing this foolishness and keep it real and be men and stand up. Stop the lies. Tell the truth. If people are racist, then they're racist. Just like you got Kemetic brothers that's racist. You got so-called Israelites that's racist. So-called Jews racist. So-called Christians racist. You got atheists that are racist. On and on and on. So we got to stop the foolishness. And one quick point. I was talking to Stefano and them yesterday, right? And I was telling them, look, if you get rid of the Abraham religions, right? Islam, Judaism, Christianity, or whatever, you're still going to be having religious fights because all throughout Africa, they had different spiritual systems, different cultures, different customs, different languages. They was fighting each other, gang banging against each other, killing each other, raping each other, pillaging each other, enslaving each other. And none of you hypocritical Negroes want to deal with the African slave trade where the African is killing and murdering and enslaving the African. So stop the lies and the hypocrisy. I'm tired of y'all with that. Straight like that. Peace.
Amen.
Okay.
Can I respond to that?
Go ahead, King. Go ahead.
Like, cause I hear what he's saying. We were talking to each other, I think, till about 6 o'clock in the morning. But the thing I was saying was, I have no problem with Islam, with Christianity, or whatever. But the thing I was mentioning was, for us as black people to get over the problems we are dealing with, I think it's best to put religion aside. It's not just Abrahamic religion. Even if you're dealing with some indigenous African spiritual system, I think it's best to keep it aside for a minute and focus on the problems we're dealing. The financial problems, the not having like a unity within ourselves. Because even yesterday we were talking to each other and I was asking everybody, how can we unite as a people? After 10 minutes, it got into a religious fight between Brother Abdul and some Christians about something some prophet said about whatever, some takia. It was just ridiculous. So it was like, for me, a good example of when I'm talking about unification, somehow it gets into religious arguments. So I'm not saying to get rid of the religion, but let's forget it for a minute. Put it on the side. Let's forget that somebody's a Christian, that he's a Muslim. Let's focus on the problem we're having as black people.
Can I come in?
I hear you. Hold on. Can I get 1 minute? Real quick. I apologize, my brother. 1 minute.
No problem.
But Stefano, keep it real, Stefano. We was having a good build. We wasn't talking no religion, brother. Remember that?
True,
we was going in, getting into the problems, coming with the information. We was having a good talk. Then when the so-called Christians came into the room, they started attacking Islam, my brother. So that's how it got crazy, because them Christians came in and threw it off. That wasn't me, so don't blame the Muslims or Islam on that. That was the Christians that came in.
Hey, I want to say something.
I'm sorry?
Hey. I want to say something.
I'm sorry, sister, go ahead.
Oh, so you can hear me. Yeah, you know what? The sad thing is, you know, we all know that Islam and Christianity came into Africa. Yeah, we have to respect what other Africans want for themselves. Everyone has the right to self-determination. Yeah, if they have accepted Islam, let's accept it the same way we accept Christianity. We have to keep our eye on the ball, which is the unity of Africa, to help all people of African descent. We can't spend time tearing each other apart, because that's what got us in the mess in the first place, where Africa was not unified. That is why everyone else could come into Africa and cause all these problems. That's all I wanted to say.
Brother Abdul, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yes, sir. Please do.
So Malcolm X, right, was a Muslim, but he was also a Pan-Africanist. And what Malcolm was famous for saying was, you know, when we come together as Africans, we've got to be African first. We've got to leave our religions and our political affiliations to the side. So my question to you would be, is that I'm guessing you're someone of, you know, a black person, a person of African descent. Are you Muslim first, or are you African first? And if you've got like an African who's not a Muslim, on the one hand, and you've got like a, let's say, an Arab who's a Muslim on the other hand. Like, who do you feel allegiance to most? Is it the African who's non-Muslim, or is it the Arab who is a Muslim but a non-African?
My allegiance is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You understand what I'm saying? I'm Muslim first. And I'm not African, to clarify, to, you know, fill you up. I'm American. I'm not African, bro. Some of my ancestors are from Africa, right? Some of them from Africa. But some of my ancestors are indigenous to the Americas. You got to remember, the black man was already over here over 10,000 years ago, before the so-called quote-unquote white man came in there. So understand that.
But so was the Arab. The first Arab was an African, a black African. Forget all the red bone Arabs, yeah? So the same thing you're saying about the black American was the same thing for Arab. Because that, and the scientists will tell you, out of Africa, they went to Arabia. But Africa is the root. Whether you want to have a name change, Africa is the root. And when people look at you, they see an African. Well, you can't be black part-time. If you were black, if you are dark brown, whatever shade of brown you may be, you're not black part-time. Many of those red-bone Arabs are now claiming to be the original. And what they show you in the West is the red bone. What we call red bone in West Africa is these people that are like Beyonce. It's not an insult. But the people we call brown are people who are dark brown. But the original Arabs were dark brown. They were black people.
Sister, I agree with you that, you know, ancient Arabs was blacker than 10 trillion midnights. Even during the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, you had Arabs and Sahabas that was surrounded Muhammad who were blacker than 999 trillion midnights, blacker than midnight at 12 a.m. So I understand what you're saying, sister, but you got to remember, you know, once tribes start being created and people start mixing in with other nations and stuff, new tribes are produced with different, you know, skin complexions and things like that. Like in America, we got people over here that's super high yellow. But we don't discriminate against them because they high yellow. So the color thing, we can't get into that either, sister. We just got to keep it real. Human beings are human beings. We can't come with the racism. So every single white man on the face of the planet Earth is not the devil. We just got to keep it real like that.
Nobody said that. Nobody in this talk has said that. Nobody said that.
No one's attacking white people, man.
So what?
Real quick.
What'd you say?
I was just saying real quick. I was going to say this. Like, we say racism. Racism is literally genetic survival. Like, all this stuff is all bonus stuff that they add into it, the killings and all that, but it really is genetic survival. Once we understand that right there, everything will fall into place and people's like perspective will change how you look at racism. Because if you like want to break it down critically, if it was about genetic survival, what is it about then?
Let me just come in real quick. I think Malcolm was wrong in the sense of saying that you got to be African first. I think we have to be men and women of distinction first. I don't think that it matters your phenotype. It is what it is. Like, you were born that way. There's nothing you can really do about it. I think that you have to be someone of distinction, someone of character, someone of virtue, someone of morality. Because I think if we base it upon just our phenotype, then we got a lot of people that do things that share the same hue as us that we would consider immoral and not something that we would want the rest of the world to portray the whole as. And I think once you become a man or once you become a woman, that is a true display of blackness or Moorism or Commissionism or whatever it is you subscribe to. I think if we become righteous, it's more of a telltale of who we are than just to base it upon a skin tone. And that whole concept of being original, it doesn't matter about who was first. It's who's doing the most good. So let's get out of those.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who was first, because I'm not black part-time, yeah? And one of the major problems you have in the world today is the fact that African people, black African people, are seen as giving nothing to civilization. That's why they're dying in the med today.
That is a lie.
Yeah. So even if the American was black first, and we do have records to say that that king in the Gambia, he was sailing from the Americas and they were trading with the Americas, yeah, they will not see you as a Native American because the Europeans are holding on to the history. They are writing the history. They will lie and distort things. The average European will never learn an African language. So our story doesn't get told. If Africa is not respected and you are black all around the world, wherever you may be, whether you're a black American, whether you're black from India, whether you're a black person from Papua New Guinea, you will feel the heat because the root is not respected. You can't hate the root and love the tree.
Sister, I hear what you're saying, but we just got to be careful and keep everything in context. What I mean by that is this. We love Africa. Like me personally, I love Africa. I have no problem with Africa. But guess what? I love the whole planet Earth, sister. I love the Americas. This is our land too. The so-called black man was all over the planet Earth. We the first, right? And all this and that. We gave birth to the white man and all these other nations because we the original, right? That's the doctrine. So with that being said, the whole planet Earth is ours, sister. And it's not just so-called black people, it's humanity. All of us in here. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, we got to do what we got to do.
Respect the root. Africa is the root.
Africa is not the root because man didn't begin in Africa.
Life started in Africa. It didn't start in America. It didn't start in India. It didn't start in Australia. It started in Africa.
It started in Jannah. That's where it started at. Then we was placed here on this planet Earth. But, no, you know, I'm getting into something else. So I'll leave it alone, sister. But
that landmass is called Africa, yeah? If I talk to you in my native language, you're not going to understand Ethic and Bibio. So I'm going to speak to you in English because that's the language that you speak.
Right? Right? I understand what you're saying, sister. I can speak Arabic and you won't understand that. So, but it's all good, sister. What I'm trying to say is that, you know, we can't get spooky when it comes to Africa. This is my point. We can't worship Africa. It's a landmass. It's a beautiful land. Turkey's beautiful too, sister. Asia is beautiful.
It's about showing some respect.
We showing respect. We're not going to worship Africa, though.
Exist.
Man, ain't nobody worshiping Africa. We respect it, but you know we gotta keep it real.
You take that philosophy and see how far it gets you. If you were black, especially in the United States of America, the way black people just feel like target practice. I wish you well and see where that philosophy gets you. Yeah. If you they're going to treat you like you're a Native American, just take that philosophy elsewhere. But I know that from what I can see, people of dark skin are having a hell of a time on this planet. Because
you sound like one of them sisters that hate light-skinned black people. Come on, sister. Like, just keep it in context, my sister.
What's that to do with anything?
And racism is real. Hold up, sister, please. Racism, white supremacy, yes, that's real. Understand all that. You understand what I'm saying? But let's keep it real. There are Africans, especially when they come over here in my land, America, who I am an American, and they're racist as hell. They don't have no love for us over here. They're not rolling with us. They separate themselves from us, and they look down upon us. So what you got to say about that?
I can't speak for them. I can't speak for them. But not all Africans are doing that in America. Right. Because my family lives in America. I've got family in America. And they're not all doing that.
I didn't say they all was. But deal with that.
But see the thing though, you're talking about miseducation. Because like, for instance, in America, we're taught that Hitler is, you know, the devil and all that good stuff. But in Africa, he's a hero.
African.
Miseducation.
Give me a second.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
Give me a second. I'm gonna need to free up at least one space to get one of our special guests in real quickly. So if it's possible, can I get someone? There you go. My brother T just jumped out. And please, nobody join. I'm gonna get a special guest in real quickly. So bear with me. You will see my special guest soon. We'll continue the conversation, and when they come in, I'm going to interrupt. Okay? To continue the conversation.
Back to what I was saying, it's like miseducation. Like, for example, in America, we're taught that Hitler, you know, killed the Jews, but in Africa, they're taught he's a hero. Miseducation all over the world. They may come into America saying, looking down on us, but like, what have they been taught prior to that?
Hello. Yeah, I mean, no one's worshiping Africa. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that everyone has an entitlement to their own culture and their own heritage. You understand? Because of colonialism and slavery, a lot of us don't know what our heritage is. And we've been forced to follow these alien cultures.
One second, family. Could I get somebody to come out again, please? Can I get somebody to come out? Otherwise, I'm going to have to choose someone to come out because I want a special guest to come in. All right, thank you for dropping out. My brother. Okay, I've got a special guest coming in. So guys, be prepared. Wait with me, bear with me, family, bear with me. Perfect. Okay. Did my special guest come in? Yes.
No one's worshiping Africa. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that
mute your mic, mute the YouTube, please.
To their own culture and their own heritage.
And then come in.
Colonialism and slavery. A lot of us don't know what our heritage is.
YouTube.
We've been forced to follow these alien cultures.
One second, can I get somebody to come out again, please? Can I get somebody to come out? Otherwise, I'm going to have to choose someone to come out because I want a special guest to come in. All right, thank you for dropping out, my brother. All right. So, are you there, my brother?
Yes, I am here.
Perfect. So, right about now, I'm going to introduce you guys. We should get coming in. So, guys, you just have to turn off your YouTube. So, if you've got the YouTube in the background, turn that off because the background noise is terrible. Perfect. Okay. Did my special guest come in?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, because your YouTube is playing in the background. So
sorry, I've stopped it now.
All right, excellent. So let me introduce my titan of the day. I've got my titan here, our beloved brother. He is a scholar. He is our ustad. You know, he has debated a lot of great individuals in the past, from Christians to atheists. You know, he's a leading figure within inside of the Islamic world over here in the UK and internationally. I'm now introducing you to my brother, Adnan Rashid.
Hi, Kalam. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
No.
And it is a pleasure being with you. And this is the first time I'm joining one of your Titans shows. I got to know you through the park, and I found you to be very, very pleasant as far as conversations and communication is concerned. I respect you a lot. Thank you so much. I respect everyone here. And I would like to say that I will be joining the show tomorrow for more input. Today, I was unfortunately not able to join the show in time. I had some other commitments. Actually, the commitments came up. I had to go somewhere. So it is always a pleasure talking to different people with different perspectives, with different views. And this goes to show that we are, alhamdulillah, as we say, thank Allah, civilized enough to have good discussions, civilized discussions with people with different backgrounds. So before I go, I don't think I have much time to speak today because Kalam is probably tired. He has been out for long, thanks to him. And he has provided this platform to so many different people with different views. I would like to say that there are a lot of things, interesting things discussed. People are discussing about Black heritage, African heritage, and the richness of the culture in Africa, and what we can do about it, and how we can actually use it in the modern age. How can we actually, as Africans, when I say we, I don't mean we, I'm not an African, but when Africans are speaking on behalf of Africa, how can Africans represent the African culture if there is a homogeneous African culture? I would like to share my views definitely tomorrow. I look forward to speaking to you guys. A lot of interesting views are being shared. So thank you so much for listening to me. Kalam, over to you.
Thank you, my brother Adnan. So again, family, tomorrow I'm hoping for about 9:30 start. We're definitely gonna have Adnan Rashid on. I think I'm actually gonna give him, the majority of the time to actually speak, as I've actually, presented some information today. I believe it would be unfair for me to actually come on and to say anything else. I would simply like to, present Adnan Rashid to the community, and if he has anything to say in terms of response to the video that we put up today, or to clarify his position from before, or to restate his position so everybody's completely aware of it and familiar with it from his own perspective, I will definitely give him the afforded opportunity tomorrow to present all of that. And then afterwards, I'm going to actually humble myself and ask him, if I'm able to now, object to certain points that he has to raise. And then we can have a further discussion. I'm going to make sure that it is moderated 100% correctly, just as you've seen with my brother Dawa Digital today. I made sure I gave him ample time to speak, and I wasn't disrespectful at all to cut him off or anything like that. So you guys already know how we do at Talk with the Titans. We definitely respect our Titans when they come into the building. So tomorrow, 9:30. Hopefully I will definitely do a little trailer, let everybody know about it tomorrow during the daytime, so you're aware of it. And hopefully 9:30 tomorrow. We'll work out a title for it. We'll come to an agreement, and we'll see what we can present tomorrow for you, for the family.
Thank you, Kalam. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for holding.
Okay, yeah. Can I just say something quickly?
Yes.
Yeah, as a Somali person, okay, I was in Speaker's Corner, and I was confronted by a black person who said, "You're not black." Okay, and that's the first time I actually experienced racism, and it was from a black person. So that's just the reality, okay? In Africa, there are different people with different nationalities, and there's nationalism. So when you have nationalism, there was a South African brother, and I'm a Somali, okay? There is this racism that exists, okay? There was a Somali guy in South Africa who was stoned to death by other Africans, Somali business owners, yeah, who were burnt alive in their shops. So when you have this kind of thing going on, and then you want to bring in all Arabs, or all white people, is not. Within Africa itself, we kill each other, we murder each other, we burn each other alive, we eat each other's flesh. So when you have this kind of scenario going on, sort this out first, sort this out. No, this has to be, it's not funny. You shouldn't be laughing. This is a serious moment. So when you have this thing going on, sort this out, and then move on to other people. Okay, so you can't move on talking about Arabs every single day. I come and I see you guys speaking. It's always about Arabs. Why? When there's within our own community, okay, that's something we have control over. Okay, we can stop ourselves from being racist. We can stop ourselves from attacking other people.
But it's not racism. It's not racism.
Racism.
If you're an African and you're having a problem with another African who is the same race as you, that is not racism. Racism is against another race. It's not racism. You're from Somalia, I'm from Nigeria. If I've got a problem with you, it's not racism.
It is.
You can be prejudiced, but it's not racism because we're the same race.
Definitely, you can. All right, remember to please remember we have 3 rules over here on Talk with the Titans. Let me just reiterate them to you. Number 1 is to keep your mics muted at all times. Rule number 2 is to respect our ciphers, respect our Titans cipher. So please don't overtalk them or unmute your mics when they're talking. We respect everybody. Everybody has the go to actually speak. And rule number 3 is please no profanity, no swearing. It's a family-friendly show where everybody is able to come in with their family, their children, their aunties, their uncles, and watch these types of shows. So I'm not going to pass it over to my brother Adnan Rashid. If somebody else would like to speak next, simply unmute your mic and mute your mic, and I'll be able to see it.
Thank you, Kalam. Just wanted to quickly highlight a few points raised by the sister and the brother who spoke earlier. There is definitely xenophobia in Africa, or within Africans. I heard reports in South Africa where South African Africans were killing Somalis or other Africans who had come to do business in South Africa, such as Burundians or people, even Rwandese or Somali people who had shops, who owned businesses, were attacked systematically due to xenophobia. Whether this can be regarded as racism or not is a very interesting question. But what happened in Rwanda in 1994 was definitely racism. Racism within the same race. I mean, I don't know if it makes sense, but two tribes fought each other and killed each other, of course, due to foreign interventions, foreign influences. No doubt the French were supplying the Hutus, and the Tutsis were, they suffered badly in this war. I have actually been to Rwanda and I've visited some of the memorials. It was very disturbing. And this is why I believe, Africans are no different to the rest of humans. We are all the same. We had the Bosnian genocide, where xenophobia or racism, for example, the Serbs, they thought, they were better than the Bosnians, and they're both Slavs, by the way. They both come from the same background. But there was racism, within the clans as well. So it can be regarded as racism. Sometimes it's called xenophobia. Sometimes it's called cultural superiority complex. It can be given a number of different names. But, prejudice, bias, or sometimes a sense of superiority over another can lead to these atrocities. And this is all I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Can I say something real quick?
Queen, I'm going to go to Simba first because he did on his mic, and then afterwards I'm going to go straight back to you, and then back over to Stefano and Simba.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Yeah, I was just going to say, I think he's confusing racism with tribalism. And actually, if you look at tribal conflict in Africa, much of it has its root in colonialism and neo-colonialism. But what I was just going to say quickly was, my position's clear. Every particular religion is the product of a particular culture, and every particular culture is a product of a particular people. So what we as Africans, and I say Africans as a racial anthropological term, have to do is find out who we are. Because you talk about universal religion, that's just cultural imperialism. There's no such thing as a universal religion. None of these religions fall out of the sky. They're all constructs. So what we have to do in the aftermath of colonialism and slavery, which destroyed our culture and our knowledge of our culture, is find out who we were before colonialism, find out who we were before slavery. What names did we have? What languages did we speak? What was our spiritual systems? We have to retrace our steps. Okay, Indians are proud of being Indians. Chinese are proud of being Chinese. Native Americans are proud of being Native Americans. So the question is, who are we? Why aren't we proud of being who we are? It's because we have a lack of knowledge of self. Okay, so once we have the right knowledge, we can find out who we are and root ourselves in our culture and move forward. So I'm not anti-religion. I really don't care if Islam is racist or not. I couldn't give a damn. All I know is I'm an African and Islam is a non-African religion. And what we have to do is find out who we are and then go back to our culture and move forward from then. To hell with everyone else. We've got to find out who we are and then move forward from there. That's what I'm going to say. Peace.
Thank you, my brother. That's well said. Well said. I'm going to go straight now to African Goddess. So go ahead, Queen.
Yeah, I just want to say this real quick. Like, the brother had mentioned how he had a problem with another brother, how he experienced racism. Once again, racism is about genetic survival. Black, like the example he gave, I would say that's self-destruction or self-hatred built it in. I wouldn't call that racism, because racism is literally just genetic survival. What will be the like just common sense? Like, what will be the gain from him attacking another brother for superior race? Doesn't make any sense.
He said I wasn't black. Just to add, not to cut you off, but just to add, he said I wasn't black, and he was advocating for black supremacy, meaning that I was inferior to him.
Sorry, my brother. Unfortunately, we don't have people cutting in other people. So, Queen, if you are able to finish off what you're saying.
I know it's all right. You can talk. I just want to. May I ask, what's your ethnicity then, if you wouldn't mind?
Okay.
I'll just add to it. I'm saying I'm Somali. Okay, the guy was South African, and he said he was Zulu. So he said he was superior to me. That's what he was coming across. It was like a superior inferior thing. I thought we were all black here, and he was saying no, he's original black, and he's saying you have to have a bit of Bantu in you, otherwise you're not proper black or you're not proper African. And also with me, when I experienced certain things, when I saw certain things happening to Somali people in South Africa, and there was big protests from Somali community because they were butchering Somalis, literally not only Somalis. Okay, I have to say this, not only Somalis, they were killing Ethiopians as well, Eritreans, basically East Africans. They have this hatred for East Africans. And I do, from my perspective, from East African perspective, there is some sort of racism towards Bantus. That's true. And Bantus as well, they have this superiority complex towards East Africans. They think they are the real blacks. Other people are not black.
But it's the thing that, once again, racism is about genetic survival. What you're describing is not racism.
Yes, but the South Africans were not just killing East Africans, they were killing Nigerians too. So Somalians, Eritreans are not special in that. They were killing Nigerians too. And that has been documented. I'm not saying it's right what they were doing to East Africans, but it wasn't just East Africans. South Africa has so many problems. Yeah. That when outside Africans come, you know, they just sort of get really upset because, let's face it, most of the wealth is owned by white people and minority in South Africa. So those East Africans that are coming, the West Africans that are coming just to make a new life for themselves, and then those that are the average black African in South Africa can't leave their country, they get upset.
Okay, thank you for that. Real quickly, I just want to give a big shout out to Saeed, Official Speakers Corner. You know, Dow Digital was good. Lady Divine, King Teach was good. I'm seeing everybody in here. Miss KK, you know, man, everybody's here. So what I'm gonna say to you guys is, you know, I'm literally running out of steam and running out of energy. So I really would love to, you know, close the show down. This section of the show where it's live. I know you guys in the audience here are gonna just really shout at me for this because I need to close this down because I also have to make sure I cut down the last show so it's, you know, it's very you know, accessible and watchable for everybody else. Don't give me those ones, man. Stop it with the ones to let me know you want me to continue. I want everybody who's actually in right now to continue the conversation because it's going to be very long for me to actually try to edit this video down to an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes, where the first section of the show is done, where you know, Adnan Rashid was being, his response was being reviewed, and that's like the critical portion of the show. All right, man. All right, cool. Let me shut my mouth. Yeah, 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. If you're not just doing all these ones now, 10 more minutes, you know, because I need my bed. All right, 10 more minutes. Sarah, I don't want to hear it from you too, man. Even you, et tu, Sarah? Ha. All right, go ahead, family. Continue the conversation then, and let me keep my mouth quiet, and you lot moderate yourselves then.
Can I just say to the Somalian brother, when you get a Zulu who's talking and saying that Somalian people are not Africans, they're not black, we're talking about African phenotypes. And people are very confused about African phenotypes. You know, Ivan Sittimer talked about there's like maybe 6 different African phenotypes. Yeah, so what they will say that to you. But we know that Somalian phenotype that you tend to see with a lot of Somalians with the straight nose and the thin lips, you see that in West Africa too. But if you look at what the Europeans have written, they say the true Negro, the true black African, has big lips, a thick nose and curly hair, which is only one type of African. Okay. And it's up to us as Africans to write about that and readdress the balance.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm talking about. When they say Africans, the original Africans had big noses and like were proper black or short or something like that, yeah, that is very stereotypical, and that gets rid of, like, okay, for Kemetics as well. If you think about Kemetics, okay, they're mainly acoustics, right? they say mainly it's Ethiopians, it's Somalis, it's Eritreans. They're the Kushtiks. So when I attach this Kemetic thing, okay, it's mainly from East Africa. Okay, they're the Kushtiks, right? Sudan as well. And other people, okay, so you want East Africa, the Kemetics is from East Africa, right? So you want East Africa when it comes to that. But other times people are discriminating against East Africa, saying, no, you're not proper black, you have to be Bantu, all this stuff. What about the ancient Egyptians and all that? Wasn't that East Africans? So ancient Egyptians, they were more like Somalis, they were more like Eritreans, right? Rather than West Africans or Zulu or South Africa. They look more like Somalis, they look more like Eritreans. They're the Kushtiks. So when it comes to that, they're African and they're black. But when it comes to now, modern day, people want to be superior because that's how it is. People want to be superior. And how are you going to have Pan-Africanism? How are you going to have some sort of unity when you're going to have this sort of racism, internal racism that you want to hide and you always want to cover up? When it comes to other people, you're so eager to get up and just smash them and say, oh no, you're racist, you're this or that. I don't get that. That's, to me, is like the biggest hypocrisy.
Yeah, but brother. Sorry, I was just going to say.
Okay, brother.
You need to understand what colonialism and slavery did to African people. You understand? And how efforts are made to manipulate us and turn us against each other. So when you see fellow Africans, you're mistreating you on the basis of tribe or nationality. You really can't get too angry about that. See, those of us who are quote unquote conscious, we're like doctors. And what we need to do is heal the sick amongst us who have that white supremacist indoctrination. Emotional. You understand? You get some Caribbean brothers and sisters, you might not, identify with Africa, or African American brothers who might not identify in Africa. And the reverse is true too. You get like Africans from the continent who say bad things about our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean and in America. But all of that comes from a slave mentality. Like, I'm not going to get mad if an African American brother says something bad about continental Africans because I know where that comes from. So that's a learning point. That's your chance to educate your brother or educate your sister on white supremacy and colonialism and imperialism and slavery and understand why they think like that. So like, don't get too emotional, brother. We're in a bad situation now. And what we need to do is understand, like, acknowledge the fact that we're under this sort of thinking and transcend that thinking and go back to who we were before colonialism and slavery, did what it did to us. So like, don't take it too personally, man. It just comes from a place of sickness, and a place of inferiority, and from a place of the Willie Lynch, if you like, a system that turned us against each other. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to just rise above it.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this too. Like, he keeps saying racism. I'm looking like, dude, racism is genetic survival. What does he like? Let's say a brother attacks you. What does he have to gain over? What does he have to gain over that? Nothing. That's self-destruction at its finest. You keep saying racism this, racism that. No, it's genetic survival. Everything else is just peaks and bonuses that we get focused on. But the core main focus is genetic survival. That's it.
Yeah, I understand. I agree with you as well. But this person was someone who was like pretending to be like awoke. Like, he came across somebody who was awake or who was saying like, black people have to stick together. They have to do this and that. And then when I told him I'm Somali, he's like, no, you can't be East, you can't be African, you can't be black. And basically, he took out all of East Africa. He said all of East Africa, basically, they're not black or they're mixed with something. But the African Union, yeah, the headquarters of the African Union is in Addis Ababa, which is Ethiopia, East Africa. So how is he advocating for black nationalism or all this, yeah, when he's basically getting rid of all of East Africa, including the African Union and everything? That's my focus. Raising that.
I know what you're saying, but like, if I can just say something about your comment, in West Africa, there's no such thing as a West African look. There's several West African looks. Like in East Africa, they don't all look the same. It's the same thing in West Africa. And Africans moved about, especially when the Sahara dried up. When that Sahara dried up, people were on the move. So that's why you're also going to get different people, looking different. Because in West Africa, there's Africans with straight hair, straight noses and thin lips, but with brown, dark skin. But you don't see them when you come here. The Europeans, when they're writing their books in the university, they keep us talking about these stereotypical West Africans, like everybody in West Africa looks the same. They don't. I'm Nigerian heritage. I've got a cousin that's got blue eyes, but she's a dark African woman. But you won't hear that in the white man's book that he's writing. It's up to us as Africans to write our story. No one's going to do it for us. And the problems, I know the problems we have where we're killing each other. Any chance we get, we're going to be doing the killing. I think a lot of Africans seem to think that once we get rid of all the foreigners in Africa, all we're going to do is go back to killing each other. I know it's a problem, but we have to come together. This is an opportunity for us to come together. That's all I have to say.
I want to let other people think as well, but I'm just saying the worst part of this year is nationalism. To be honest, that's the thing we have to fight the most is nationalism, because that's the thing that separates most of Africa is nationalism. Everybody has their own country. Because some people, if they grew up in the West, right, they might not see this. They might not see this part of Africa. They might just see Africa as one monolith. It's not, okay? Africa within itself is super fractured, okay? They came and they draw borders and everybody's nationalistic. They have their own country. Another African black person, they come to their country, they're going to get butchered. They're going to get sent out like with a coffin, okay? But that's the reality. Everybody wants their bit. They want their own, that land is theirs. So they won't let you come in and just sit there and take over or have like a shop there. That's how it is in South Africa. That's how it is in other countries, in other parts of Africa. So if we want to fight this, you have to fight nationalism. You have to be against nationalism. Especially if you're promoting Pan-Africanism, the first thing you have to destroy is the borders and nationalism. So that's something I'm going to say.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can barely hear you, King.
I don't know what is wrong with my mic.
Well, we can hear
Give me
you.
a second.
If you want to speak, speak. All right. So family, okay? Family. I'm asking you, family. I'm asking you, do I have the permission now? Do I have the permission? I'm talking about my audience members. Do I have the permission to now close down this section of the show? Stop giving me the ones because I need to go. I need to make sure that I've chopped down the show for everybody else to see. We've been going in for the longest now. So I'm grateful for everybody who's tuned in right now. If you are available, okay, I'm going to post the link with inside of the comment section. Before I do that, we've got 155 people tuning now. Please, let's get some likes up. We're on 119 likes right now. Let's get some likes up, man. Let's get up to about 130, and I'm good. I'm actually going to post the link, okay, with inside of the chat section right now. So for those of you guys who aren't able to, who want to watch the show some more, you can come behind the scenes and actually speak with our panel members and listen into what they have to say. Unfortunately, there's only room for about 10 people to actually come in. So I'm going to give up my spot anyway. So please try to come in as much as possible. All right. Family, is there anything else that you would like to say whilst we're live on air to everybody else?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I originally came over to talk about the pyramids and everything, but I'm just going to come out and say this. Like, somebody else said that Africans have been attacking each other. And, like, that's a lot of things to talk about. On the Rwanda thing was created by the CIA. If anybody knows...
Before you go in, it seems like you've got a lot of stuff to go in. It seems like you've got a lot of stuff to go in. So I'm just going to let you guys know. Let me just do the last minute announcements. I'm literally sending you guys the links right now to jump in. So jump in if you can. Mohib, I see you, King. I see you came down to Speaker's Corner. I believe that was the first time I've seen you in Speaker's Corner. So salute to you. I know you got some good footage. I haven't been able to watch your footage yet, but I know you've got some good footage.
Assalamu alaikum. Hola Mahib. Supporting the team, supporting the family. Big up. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
All right.
Walaikum salam.
Okay. So my brother's doing it big, man. We need to talk as well. I like the way you hooked up the DSLR to the laptop to act as your web camera. I love that. So yeah. Again, family, I'm going to sign out right now. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow, we're going to have Adnan Rashid. I'm hoping to start at 9:30 tomorrow. We're definitely going to have a very explosive show. We're going to have a very informative show. This is how debates or discussions and contentions should be aired out in public amongst us. We should do it very cordially, you know, very professionally as well. So everybody has an opportunity to learn from us, okay? So hopefully we can present something that's enlightening to everybody, regardless if you're a Muslim, non-Muslim, Kemetic, Jew, Christian, atheist, whatever you are, somebody who's not religious at all, somebody who's just interested with the social, politics, and historical elements of this particular topic. So please tomorrow, your mics muted, family. Yeah, tomorrow, because it's going to be a really great show. As you can see, Adnan Rashid is definitely ready to go, and we're gonna get involved, man. We're gonna get involved. Yeah, tomorrow's show will be good. Trust me, now. I mean, official speaker squad. It's gonna be real good. So, family, I'm gonna sign out right now, and thank you again, guys, for actually tuning in to Talk with the Titans. I will see you again very soon. Peace.
All right. Later.